Okay, YouTube, let's do this. I'm ready. Welcome back to the Don't Stop Me Now podcast, where being negative can be a good thing and being positive can turn the world against you. Hello, I am your HIV positive host, Miss Jennifer Levon, and this is episode 121, and I'm smiling from ear to ear, from sea to shining sea. I'm a happy girl. Today marks, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 days since we were told that Donald J. Trump would be leading our country once again. I still can't believe those words are real. I literally can't believe it. Feels like Christmas Day every single time I think about it. That was, you know how you never know how like a feeling is going to hit you until it happens? That's one of those moments like that I'll never forget for the rest of my life, was when I went to bed that night a little concerned, because this happened 4 years ago, when I went to bed and felt fairly certain that he was going to win 4 years ago, and then woke up to a shit show. And I know other people had put on Facebook and stuff that they were concerned of the same thing. So I woke up at about 3 in the morning, California time, so Pacific Standard Time, and I click on Instagram, and it's like the first thing that pops up: Donald J. Trump, 47th President of the United States. It was confirmed. And I was like, I just kept reading it over and over again, and I got so choked up. And I just kept scrolling through stuff and like checking TikTok and like making sure it was real. And I just couldn't believe it. I saw like all the electoral votes, and it was just, I couldn't go back to sleep. I ended up staying awake and just, I laid in bed, but I never did really go back to sleep, and went to work on, I don't even know, it was probably 4 hours of sleep. But I was so amped that I didn't feel it all day. I went to work with a red Niners sweatshirt on, and my army print. Why am I not remember camo? My camo print pants. I think I made a bit of a statement, which maybe isn't the smartest thing to do, because where I live, it's very liberal. California flipped. The 40% of California flipped from blue to red, and nothing flipped from red to blue. Nothing in California. So we had 40% more counties voting from blue to red in California. But where I live, all along the edge of California, the coastal part of California, everything there is blue, pretty much all the way down from the top to the bottom. And I am in that area, so I do not live in a conservative area at all. But there are people that drive around with trucks with big Trump flags on them here and there, and I do feel like those are my people. So it feels good when I see that. And like, yeah, there's parts of me that feel like I should move to Montana to be with my people. But there are people here that are my people for sure, and it just feels good. The unity feels good. But you know what? We want unity with everyone. That we're not trying to divide anybody. We're not trying to tell anybody who voted for Kamala that we don't want you. That's not it. We want everyone to be proud to be an American again. And when you sing the national anthem, you're proud of it. You're putting your hand on your heart. You're not taking a knee. I mean, these things, it's like, that's what I grew up with. I was always proud of the country I lived in, and it feels good to get back to that. And I feel like the country showed it in such an enormous way. Like the numbers were outrageous. Like, she lost so badly, and we, the people, are fed up, and we showed exactly what we wanted, and we wanted him back. So yeah, the House, the Senate are all overwhelming Republican. He got the what do you call it, vote, the popular vote, and he heavily won the electoral votes. So I mean, if that's not saying enough right there of what people want, I don't know what is. So I felt pretty comfortable sharing in my Instagram stories how excited I was, and how, and a lot of TikToks. And I definitely still have people that were coming at me, which isn't surprising. I didn't expect everybody to be on page with me or anything, but people will slide into my DMs and give me their 2 cents worth and how I'm a disgrace and they're so disappointed in me and how could I vote red after. This is what really blows my mind is a lot of people threw at me, you have HIV. How could you vote as a Republican? And by the way, I don't really consider myself a Republican. I just don't feel that I am with the Democratic Party anymore. I feel like they're just way too left and out there for me. I don't believe in a lot of what they're going for anymore. And I'll get to some of those different topics. But I don't really consider myself a full Republican. I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle. But anyway, but I do love Donald Trump. He's a strong leader. He makes me feel safe. There's already leaders that are like getting ready to talk to him. What do you call it? Our stocks have gone up. So many things are happening within the last 5 days for the good since he won the election. So and he's not even in office yet. So it's pretty amazing to see all of these things already starting to happen just because this vote happened. It's incredible. It's incredible. So yeah, I'm a little blown away by people feeling like I have to be in this box because I have HIV. So because you have HIV, you need to be mad at the Reagan administration from 40 years ago, because of the way they mismanaged and mishandled the AIDS crisis. Of course, that happened. That did happen. But I mean, Trump, what I said in a post recently, Trump and Reagan are two totally different people. And party lines change. A lot of things change within the party. The Democratic Party is no longer what it used to be. Robert Kennedy Jr. is left the Democratic Party because of that. He said it used to be a party full of peace and love, and he goes, "It's just I don't even recognize it anymore." So he is. I don't know if he considers himself a Republican, but he's definitely not with the Democratic Party anymore. So, anyways, my point is that things change. Over 40 years, lots of things change. Issues change, people change, party lines change. Which means we are allowed to decide for ourselves how we want to vote. And it's funny that I get people that say, I'm just a disgrace now because I voted red. I have, by the way, being a woman with HIV, how dare I? I have several HIV positive women, gay men, but specifically HIV positive women who also voted red. And they don't, they're not out on social media, but they're hearting all my stuff. So we're not going to be influenced by something that happened 40 years ago to make us vote a certain way today. That doesn't even I don't understand why I get that pressure. It seems so insane to me. But so yeah, and another thing is all of these men who died in the 80s, you owe them your vote. No, I don't. It's insanity. That's so crazy. So my life has to be altered. Let's say I was always Republican and then I contracted HIV. Then all of a sudden I have to change all of the ways that I think because I have this virus in me. I didn't ask for this. And technically, if I had only been with men that had only been with women, I wouldn't even have this. So, and you all know that, this absolutely happened because of gay sex. That is why I have this. That is 100% why I had this. And you guys already know that women are rarely transmitting this. So if we get it, we're getting it from men who have been with men. And I mean, that's what's been going on my social media for 8.5 years. Nothing's changed. That there is an absolute cycle to all of this, and it stops with women. So why do I have to align myself with the gay community that I don't even belong to just because we have a virus in common that really I shouldn't even have? To me, that doesn't make any sense. And to be bullied into it because of that actually pushes me even further away. It doesn't make me feel like you're my ally. It just feels like you get to tell me what to do because of my HIV status and to guilt me into a vote, which doesn't, no, I'm a free thinker. I can vote however I want. I'm trying to think of all the different reasons of why people are afraid of Trump. I mean, sure, he's crass and he's said off-color things. Do I think he's a pedophile? No. Do I think he says things that are off-color? Of course. But does that make him a bad leader? I don't think so. I definitely don't think so. So he's a strong leader and he's respected by other countries. I don't want to go into World War III. Kamala, she had no business running for president. I'm sorry. There's no way that woman could have handled what we needed as a country. And he's going to change the way the country has fallen apart in the last 4 years. And I can't wait to see all the changes. One of the things that people are really fearful of is people losing their rights, mainly trans people. So I have a friend who's trans. She has had the surgery. She was born biologically a male. She is post surgery, top and bottom. And I wanted her to know she's a friend of mine. She's a confidant. And I said, I don't want to offend you in any way. By the way, she lives in Florida. And she's never left Florida. She felt like at a time there was going to be a need for her to leave Florida because medication would have been an issue or her services were going to become an issue. She was considering coming to San Francisco, but that never happened because those fears that she had never came to light. So she's been able to stay in Florida. But her concern is basically, she said it's sort of the fear of the unknown. Because I said, I reached out to her and I said, like, I want to know, can you tell me so I'm not off mark on any of the things that I post? And I haven't touched anything on anything regarding the trans community because I wanted to make sure I wasn't saying or doing anything offensive. And she said basically, like, so the fear is that it's just the fear of the unknown basically at this point. And she said all we can do is just live our lives. She was like, I can walk outside and go to the store and, like, my life isn't any different at the moment. She's like, nothing has changed. So she said we can't really sit here and stew and worry about something that hasn't happened. She goes, and it's true. She said Kamala lost by a landslide, or Trump won by a landslide. And so she said, we need to just accept that and, and be aware that it wasn't like just a slight, like he just kind of won, like he won by a landslide. And that says something. So she said, we need to really just kind of need to chill out, relax, and just see how everything unfolds. She said, but mainly the one thing, not mainly, but she said, of course, the one thing that he's spoken about is not having any kind of gender reassigning surgeries for children under 18. No blockers, no hormones, nothing like that. And possibly going after any parents who allowed it in the last 4 years. I guess, I don't know, suing them. I don't know what they would do. But I agree with that. I do not feel that children should be changing their bodies in any way surgically until their frontal cortex, whatever, their frontal lobe isn't even fully developed. We all know this until I don't know, 20, in their early 20s. So making decisions about changing their bodies before they're 18, I still think 18 is too young, is something that shouldn't happen. I'm like, that's fine, right? I do feel like that's like child abuse, letting that happen. Doctors that were letting that happen. There was so much influence through YouTube. Kids were so confused. During COVID, they had all this time in front of the screen and they had all these influencers telling them, the secrets on how to get the procedures done that you want without your parents knowing, or how to come up with these stories so that you'll seem more convincing when you go to visit doctors, so that you can get the procedures you want and you can get the hormones you want and all of that. Many of these hormones are irreversible once you start. Like a woman that takes testosterone, her voice will change. That voice will never, ever go back to the original voice. Never. So even if they stop the testosterone and they take estrogen and all of that, there's irreversible damage to the vocal cords. She will never, because there have been people on TikTok who have done this, who have changed their mind after and they wish they hadn't done it. They retransitioned back to their birth gender. And so, there's big decisions to make that I don't think kids under 18 can make. So there's that. And then also, men and women's sports, I'm absolutely opposed to 100%. I don't how was that ever even allowed? That I don't even need to say anything more about. That's crazy. So those two things. But as far as rights with trans people, and I really don't know yet. So we'll see how it goes. But I definitely don't want anyone losing any of their American rights. Of course not. So that I don't want to see that happen. So that's we're not here trying to make sure people lose their rights. That's not it at all. Okay. Let's see. Am I pretty much done talking about that? Kind of. I mean, the abortion issue, we all know that that's state to state. Nothing would have changed even if Kamala won. It would still be the same thing. It's still state by state, which gives people even more power that they can vote within their state of whether they want, abortion. And sometimes it's all pinned down to like, like it's not going to happen after so many weeks and all of that. So it's different per state. So, okay, so there's that, which again wouldn't have changed if Kamala was president. That all would still be the same. He's not taking away gay marriage. Like that's not happening. That happened like the whole gay marriage thing. Oh God, I don't have all the specifics on it, but I know that none of that is going to change. And like one of my gay friends even pointed out, like you gays are all like freaking out about this, yet most of you don't even want to get married. And if you do, it doesn't even last long. So, and that was from a gay man. Like he's like, stop with the whole like gay marriage thing. Like it's not that important to you. So whatever, take that as you will. Let's see. Okay, so there's that. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much all I want to say, but I'm really happy. I mean, I definitely have lost a few followers. I've had a few people that I've just had to block. Um, I have family members that voted for Kamala, and I have lots that voted for Trump. So it's division in the family for sure. My ex-husband is definitely a Trumper. So it's brought us closer together. We were so excited, like so excited. And I mean, how great for our kids for us to be, aligned politically. There's no fighting. We're friends. We're like, we kind of were like, yeah, you guys like, because my middle daughter, Ryan, voted for Kamala. And when she voted, she sent me a screenshot that said, sorry, Queen, canceled your vote, which is like, fine. I'm so happy that my daughter voted. And in California, my vote really didn't mean a lot. Because we know that it's basically a blue state. So, but I'm like, I had total emotions because she voted. Like, I'm so proud of my 21-year-old for voting for the first time and using that right. There's countries where women don't have that right. So the fact that she, took herself to a poll with her friend and they both voted. I mean, and she said she voted for everything. She read through stuff, whether she really understood it or not, I don't know, but just like that can be a super intimidating thing to go and vote. I remember doing it when I was at San Jose State. I voted for Clinton. By the way, I used to always vote Democrat. I don't know if people know that. And I used to hate Trump. That's also a thing. But I talked about that last time, The Apprentice and all that. I was like, are you kidding? What are we doing? Why is this guy becoming president? But I don't view him the same way anymore. But yeah, I always voted Democrat starting back in college. I turned 18 in 1988, so I got to vote for Clinton, and that was super exciting. I loved the whole idea of Clinton and everything, but I was young. I really didn't know. It seemed like exciting, and Gore and Clinton were just these cool guys, and they seemed to want well, I don't know. I seemed to want what they were saying they would give us, and I can't even remember what they stood about, or what their party platform was at the time. I don't even know, but they were the cool guys to go for, and I did vote for them. I never voted for any Bush. I was always voting like Obama, and I was always voting blue until I voted for Trump. And that was the first time I voted Republican, and that was in 2020. And then I was like, wow, I voted Republican because I had always voted Democrat. And I don't know, maybe I will vote blue again. It all depends on what their values are, what they stand for, who they are as a person, what they're capable of, and all of that. So you never know. It all depends on that kind of stuff. But I really do like him. He makes me feel safe. So where was I going with that? Voting when I said, oh yeah. So my other daughter, Joey, who's 24, I don't know how she voted. All I know is that she didn't like either candidate. I don't think she voted for Kamala. She might have actually just wrote in Bernie Sanders. I know she loves Bernie. I didn't want to ask her because even if she voted for Trump, or if she did vote for Trump, which I don't think she did, then I would have that, I'd be able to use that in times of jokes and stuff like that. And I think she'd just prefer that stays between her and her ballot. And that's totally fine. Again, super proud of her for going and voting. my girls could have easily just thrown in. These are girls that didn't even want to stay in regular high school. They went, to independent study and didn't want to be part of the whole institution of a high school. Yet they got themselves to on election day, got themselves to a, a voting destination and did their votes in person. Joey actually went by herself. Again, I don't know, I keep saying that. So proud of them. So it didn't matter how they voted. I just wanted them to vote. And my daughter Joey is gay. Like, she has a girlfriend. So people come after me and say, "Oh, you're against like LGBTQ because you voted for Trump." No, I want everybody to have rights, and the American rights that we all deserve. And of course, I want that for my daughter who has a girlfriend. Like, why wouldn't I want that? I want unity. I want us to all be unified. That's truly what I want. And I I'm sad to see that the people that I see on Facebook, basically white women, are crying, about this loss, and they feel like doomsday is coming. It's so sad to me. It's like, no, this is life's going to look up. This is going to be good for everybody. We want this to be good for everybody. We don't want division. We want good things for everybody that lives in the United States. We want everyone to have that opportunity to have the American dream. So hopefully, once the shock of all of it is over, they will come around and start little by little. If they see that things are looking up, I know it's hard. I get that it's hard for them to just switch like a light switch, because if it had been the other way around, I would be devastated if Kamala won. I'd be absolutely devastated. So I get it. I get where their emotions are right now, and we really do. We all see differently, and just hopefully that's all we can do, is just hope that over the next 4 years, the changes that they see are positive, and they realize that it's not an attack at them or on them, and that we wanted them to be part of this from the beginning, if that makes sense. Nick Bosa from the 49ers. He is a big boy. He's a big, handsome boy. He last week or the week before was wearing a MAGA hat. It was, I think, a white hat with gold writing, but it said "Make America Great Again." While Brock Purdy and George Kittle were being interviewed after a game, he kind of poked his head in between the two of them and put his fingers pointing at his hat. It was like a 2-second thing. Well, he was fined $11,000 which is like apparently just like nothing when you're very wealthy in the NFL. But he was fined $11,000. It's more that just the point of it all, and it seems so ridiculous. And so the NFL fined him, and he's fine with it. Obviously, he's just going to pay it and move on. Or who knows? The Niners will probably just pay it and move on. I don't know. Or I guess maybe he does have to pay it personally. But I think that this is so sad. This is so sad that we're being like, that's discrimination 100%. Like, how he's showing pride for his country. The hat says "Make America Great Again." He got fined $11,000 for a hat that says, what a horrible thing to say. "Make America Great Again." What a horrible thing to say. Like, do you understand? I understand it's the connotation of supporting Trump, but I mean, 3/4 of the United States wants him to be president. So NFL, wake up. Hollywood, wake up. All of these entertainers who were promoting Kamala for money, they're very quiet right now, aren't they? But there was a TikTok that I saw where this guy said, she basically paid off all these celebrities. I don't know what the numbers were. It was in the billions of what she spent on her campaign, and I know that his was less. And he didn't go with a bunch of celebrities because the people voted him in. We didn't need celebrities telling us what to do. But there was something I was going to say about that. Oh yeah, he basically said that. He's like, it was. I'll show it on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm just going to put that TikTok up. But he basically, for those that aren't on YouTube, he said that it's the people. The people spoke. We didn't need celebrities to speak for us. We spoke for ourselves. So yeah, crazy. Crazy that the people were finally heard. And I just love it. He's only the second president to serve 2 terms that are not consecutive. I think Grover was the other one. Never thought I'd see this day again. I remember asking my ex-husband, is he going to run again? He's going to run again, right? Like I remember talking about it like months ago and then finally hearing that it was going to happen. And it's like, is it going to happen? Is he going to win? Is it really going to happen? And when I woke up in the middle of the night and saw that screenshot, I'll put it on my YouTube channel because I have that specific one that I saw. It was like Christmas morning times 1,000. I was just like, I can't believe it. It was the biggest relief ever. Yeah, it was unreal. And for all these newscasters to have to like, you know, because I feel like the main media or, media in general is just like totally against Trump. So like they had to like deal with it. They had to deal with it. The ladies on The View had to clutch their pearls and cry about it. And Howard Stern can go, what happened to Howard Stern? My God, he used to be such a man's man. And he's such a, yeah, I won't say it, but Pussy. Howard, what happened to you? I don't know. Um, okay, I have a couple funny things, and then I'm going to tell you two HIV stories. So I had a dream. I'm kind of contemplating sharing my voice memo to my friend about the dream because so if you're on, well, we'll see. I don't know. It might be in here, it might not, depending on if I can find it. And
God, I had the weirdest dream that I was like parked in a driveway. It was Carly Simon's driveway. And I was on my phone and I was blocking her, like getting into her like driveway. And she came, I like realized like what I'd done. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm like, God, she's going to call the police. And then I was backing up and I like totally took out, like I would turn my wheel at the same time. It was a really narrow driveway, like on a hill. And I don't know what I did, but I like turned and I wiped out like this, like one of those light wooden fences that like flowers grow on, like bougainvillea. And I was like, fuck. And like, I'm like, oh my God, she's just gonna call the police. It's like, whatever. I'm just like, whatever. I'll pay for it. I just want to get out of here. I'm so embarrassed. And it was like the second time I had done this, that I'd parked in her driveway and just stayed on my phone. It was just like zoning out in my on my phone, like not paying attention that I was like in her driveway, like blocking shit. And then my dream goes other places, and then I end up in this house that's connected to her house, but it's also these like two girls that are like 25, or they're like sisters, and they all don't like me because apparently I've been in the house before and I'm a nightmare. And I'm like, they're like looking at me like, are you fucking kidding me? You're back. And I'm like, I know, I'm sorry, I'm leaving. I know, I'm sorry, I did not mean to be in here again. And I'm like walking through the house, and then the only way to get out was to go through Carly Simon's house. And I'm trying to get out. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know why I keep why I keep ending up here. Oh my God, so funny. And I was just mortified. I was like, what the fuck? Why do I keep doing this?
I know that was like, why was I even thinking of Carly Simon? I have no idea. Okay, and this is my my second story. It's about my cats and my dog, and this is the voice memo that I left my friend for that as well.
God, if I told you this, I'm so sorry. I don't think I did. I know I told Chris and Ryan, but I don't think I told you. So my daughter's cat has been over here for the last 3 days, and I feed them, my cat's wet food, like in the morning. And anyways, he doesn't normally get wet food, but he was like, it's like he is just going crazy. Like he loved it so much. He was just gobbling it down. And then he went and ate dry food. Well, I knew what was going to happen. He overate. And so when I got home from work, there was like a big pile in the dry cat food of wet food mixed with dry food, like about a half a cup that he had clearly thrown up. But it probably wasn't in his stomach very long because the dry food still looked pretty dry, like it hadn't been digested or anything. So anyways, I didn't, I didn't want to throw it in the garbage or in the toilet. So I fed it to the dog for dinner. I fed Finn cat barf. And he gobbled that shit right up. When I told Ryan what I did, she goes, Mom, that's so gross. She said, well, actually, he eats the cat shit if he can, so that's actually like way better, which is true. If he can get a hold of some cat shit, he'll eat it. So anyways, and it won't hurt him because it literally was in their stomach for like very briefly. He's fine. He's totally fine.
I promise you, my dog is fine. He had zero negative effects from this at all. He loved it. It must have been delicious. Okay, let me get into my HIV stories. There are two of them. They're not stories. They're just basically like people that have reached out to me and, for my services. Again, oh yeah, if you want to, if you need HIV assistance from kind of like anxiety, you need more like clarification on testing, or risk assessment, I do that. My link is in my bio. It'll take you to my link tree. The pay links are in there. It's PayPal, Cash App, or what's the other, Venmo. It's $20, and I will answer your questions, confirm your risk, and yeah, I've had some really good ones in the last couple weeks. So this one straight guy from Florida had been with a girl of unknown status. And then, he started feeling sick a couple weeks later and he started looking up symptoms. And I don't have a story in front of me. I'm sort of just going by vaguely what I remember. But the main thing was is that he was having what he thought were symptoms. He kept referring to the fact that he had oral sex with her and vaginal sex. And I'm like, dude, you have to stop reiterating that you had oral sex with her because you don't get HIV that way. There are no female to female cases. I don't care if you ate her out or she gave you a blowjob or whatever. That's not how it happens. It doesn't happen. It's not in someone's mouth. No one's transmitting HIV from their mouth in any way. So just stop with the oral. It doesn't count. So like his only true quote unquote risk is vaginal without a condom, insertive. And I just said, look, I told him everything I could tell him with regards to statistics and all of that. And he had been testing, I believe, but he still was like too close to the date. Like the window period hadn't really passed as far as like the antigen test and all that. But then he decided to do the RNA. But then he just started freaking out because they told him like the results wouldn't be available for like the next 4 days or whatever. So he was really freaking out. So, he contacted me more than once. And of course, each time you contact me, it's another $20, but he was willing to pay it because he was just absolutely freaking out. In fact, he paid me $50 for one of them because he was so beyond freaking out. He just needed to talk to me again. And sometimes people do that, and I'm very grateful, obviously, especially with the cost of groceries. So thank you so much. But anyways, so what happened was is this other girl that he slept with after, he started freaking out because then she was contacting him, telling him, and maybe they were starting to date or something. Like I was like, why is she contacting you and telling you about her, like her symptoms that she's having? Like, why would she do that? But I think they were kind of like starting to like talk on a more regular basis. And she said that she had a sore throat, and that she had a fever, and then he put, and then she's having arm pain, and I'm like, what is arm pain? Like that has nothing to do with HIV. Like what? Where do you get this stuff from? So anyway, I'm like, yeah, it's coincidental. Like she doesn't have HIV. You don't have HIV. You weren't even with a woman with HIV, dude. Like the odds of that even happening are so rare. But anyways, even if you were exposed, these are my little quotes, exposed to a woman with HIV, your odds of getting it are like so far under a percent. And I still have yet to see it happen by anybody who's reached out to me for my help in the last 9 years. And it's literally always hetero men. Anyways, he got his RNA results back. I mean, he was putting himself in a place where he was like, I've accepted the fact that if I have this, I know I'm going to be okay. I know I can go on treatment. I've watched you. I can see. And if you're listening, please know that I'm not making fun of you. And he knows that. I had to give him tough love. And he thought that my irritation in my voice or my almost yelling at him is me being mean to him, but it's not. It's like he needs to hear the like you sound crazy. Like, and I do that. I will do that with people, and I tell them like, don't take this personally, but you need to know, like, you need to hear it in my voice so you understand that you sound ridiculous. Like, I mean, if you were in front of me, my eyes would be rolling back in my head. I'd be like, oh my freaking God, like you sound like an absolute sissy because I've explained everything to you and you still keep going to this place where you think you have it. But anyways, he had already accepted the fact that he had it, which is wild to me after everything I told him. Like, this is by the third time he reached out to me. This is the $50 time. He'd accepted the fact that he had it, but he would just never know what he would do with himself if he gave it to this other girl that he's starting to like hang out with. I'm like, dude, you're in so deep. Like, stop. And he's been Googling, he's doing Reddit, all of that. And by the way, the doctors are not, especially if they're not HIV specialists, they are not going to like give you this risk assessment information. They just assume, especially if, again, if they're not HIV specialists, they are going to assume that risk is risk is risk. And if you are having unprotected sex, you are always at risk for HIV. Everybody. That's how they do it. I'm telling you, they do not think about male to female transmission. They don't. They just assume if a woman had HIV, and they make people feel who are testing for it that like HIV is everywhere. And there's definitely all this risk around it, and that like you're all being exposed to it, and it's crazy because it's everywhere. Like I don't know what these doctors are thinking. But anyway, I mean, I guess it's liability. I always tell people that it's probably liability. They have to be careful. They also don't know for sure that you've only been with a woman. So maybe you're with dudes and you're the bottom, and they're just being safe by saying, hey, look, you should test up until 3 months. Because that is another thing. They will always say that, test up until 3 months. And that makes people crazy, just the 3 month mark. And really, these tests don't need to be taken up until 3 months. Like, they're conclusive earlier. So like the RNA test, the PCR RNA, basically conclusive 1 to 2 weeks. That's when you're good. Like, that's looking for the virus. That's a very specific test. It's not the one that you would get typically if you're being tested for HIV. They typically test with the fourth generation first. And then if you're positive for that, that's looking for the antigen and an antibody. Then they're going to do the PCR test and go, okay, we need to get a viral load. They don't start with the RNA test. I don't know if it's just because it's more expensive or whatever, but and that's how it was with me. They tested for the antibody first. It was glaringly red or whatever. It was definitely positive. Okay, so the next test was the RNA, and then they got the viral load. So anyway, and then there's also just the antibody test, which is the one that's like less accurate earlier on. Your body needs time to make antibodies, so it's like accurate basically at 4 to 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, I know some people that it came up after that. That's not the norm. It's typically very conclusive at 6 weeks. If you do not have the antibodies by that time, you're done. You don't have it. But doctors will say to test up until 3 months. So that drives people insane. That's a long wait when you think there's this possibility that you have it. Every single day, every single second, you can't let that thought go. And it affects your everything. It gives people headaches. It gives people stomach aches. It affects they end up with weight loss. They have diarrhea. And then they think they have HIV because they have these symptoms. It's like, and then they end up with rashes too from stress. It's all stress related. Jesus. And there's always that slight possibility that it's something else. I've had people come back and say, oh my God, it turned out to be mono. Turned out I had COVID. Turned out I had the flu. Turned out I had lupus. You just never know. Or some other autoimmune. It's HIV is not autoimmune, but it's like it could be another autoimmune virus or condition, disorder, because AIDS is acquired immune deficiency syndrome, not autoimmune deficiency syndrome. It has to be acquired from somebody else. So anyways, there's that. He gets his RNA results back, and then he sends them to me. He goes, "You're right." I was negative. I'm like, so I just left him a voice memo back and I said, I told you. I'm like, and he's like, oh my God. Because he kept writing all these things to me like prior to the getting the results. And he's like, I swear, you don't even know how much you've helped me. Like, I mean, poor guy was like fragile. And he's like, I'm just like, you don't even know. Like, I'll be so forever grateful if you ever come to Florida. Like, please find me. And, this is all before his test results were in, but he was just like, poor guy was falling apart. And I'm just so grateful for, it's like they make me feel like I'm the one with the crystal ball and I can see that they definitely don't have it. And it's just that knowing that there's that little in their mind, it's still, there's a possibility. They can't let it go 100%. They still think that there's this possibility, even though I give them all of my information and I'm like literally sometimes rude to them. Like, I just want to shake them. But they appreciate that though, because they say that literally helps them hearing my irritation with them. Like, oh my God, you're back again. Are you kidding me? Like, there's that too. Because I get repeat offenders who I'm like, are you really like, you've followed me for how long? Why do you still think that this is going to happen to you? Like, oh my God. So, because I get those, I definitely have those people as well. So, okay, here's my other story. This is somebody who, so yeah, he's negative. He's negative, of course. So he can relax. I said, and he goes, I'm not normally a guy who is like this. He goes, if you had met me out in like normal life, this is not who I am. He's like actually kind of embarrassed that he's gone off the deep end with this. And he's like, but most of the time, the people that reach out to me do have some kind of health anxiety. There was a woman who reached out to me recently, and then throughout, her discussion with me, it turns out that her aunt had HIV. I think two of them did. She's from Maryland, and the one uncle that she got it from died in prison. I mean, I'm like, well, yeah, he got it in prison, and he gave it to her, but she was really sick and this aunt is doing fine now. So when you know adults that were children at the time and saw their aunts, uncles, whatever, die of AIDS, or maybe mom or dad or something, that affects them. It definitely affects them growing up and going into adulthood and their sex lives and having a fear of HIV. Where there wasn't HIV in my family in any way, so it was never something that I dwelled on. But there are a lot of people that have been affected by it, and it affects them as they go into adulthood, into their own sexual lives. And not everybody, obviously, but I find that is a common thread with people who reach out to me. So yeah, so she had divulged that, and that was a point that I wanted to make when I did this podcast. That is another thing that people do have in common, is that they usually have somebody in their life that has been affected by HIV, and then they just think like they're destined to get it. There's a lot of people that think that they're just unlucky in general, and they think that they're destined to get it because of that, which is just wild to me, because luck has nothing to do with HIV. It's physiology. It's the physiology of the bodies and how it can be transmitted. It has nothing to do with luck. So, but it's not in the stars. It has nothing to do with your sign or all of that. Okay, so the other story is a guy that reached out to me today. It was a gay man from Spain who, it turned out, after like doing, I talked to him about his test results. They were for sure negative because there had been so much time had already passed. I think it was 6 months. The doctor told him that he needed to, why am I talking like Jerry Seinfeld? The doctor told him that he needed to wait up to 1 year of testing to be conclusive. I was going off on my voice memos back to this guy. I was like, that guy needs to be fired. Like, what in the literal hell am I? First of all, I'm like, please tell me he's not an HIV specialist. He said no, he's just a I shouldn't say just a, but he's a general practice doctor. He said he felt that the doctor, so this guy didn't wear a condom. Turned out he was the insertive partner just one time, and he was concerned. I don't know why he was concerned. Maybe just because it was that exposure. I don't know if he had symptoms or whatever. But anyways, by the time he'd come to me today, he had already been 6 months into this and had tested negative several times. But this doctor told him he needed to test up until 1 year, which is insane. That is not a thing at all. Like, the tests are really, really accurate. I don't think there was even a thing back in the 80s waiting up to 1 year. So I don't know why someone is so out of touch with testing. A doctor is so out of touch with testing. Like even the internet's not going to say you have to wait up to a year. So I just told him, I said, unfortunately, it's liability. And he did say he felt like this doctor didn't like him. He said he told him next time, no, he said, well, maybe you should have worn a condom. That was what he said to him. I said, dude, the guy absolutely just shamed you for not wearing a condom. It's almost like he just doesn't want to deal with it and he's just like brushing you off. Hi. My son just got home. It's like he's brushing you off and um, just doesn't care. And so he said, yeah, he didn't make me feel like he cared. And he was just like, yeah, just the whole thing, like, well, maybe you should have used a condom. That's like the worst thing to say to somebody who's having this fear, especially as a gay man, where he could have been at more risk. But the good thing is that he did test negative at 6 months. I told him, you don't need to test anymore. Even after all of the talking and everything, he still asked me, do you think I should test one more time? I'm like, you need to stop. Like, you literally need to stop testing, because you're still putting yourself in this place where you think it's possible, and that's all that's doing is just generating more anxiety when it's totally unnecessary. So yeah, he didn't need to test anymore. But there's something else I was going to say about that. Oh yeah, he's the insertive partner. So like I said, in general, your risk was very low as it is. And that made me think of comments, because somebody had asked that in a comment. Well, what if you're in the insertive partner um, with a female, but it's her, her butt? Still incredibly low risk. And the insertive partner is just low risk all the way around, even if she has her period, because it doesn't go through skin. Jesus. Somebody asked, just to kind of go with comments here, is there an injectable ART? Yes, Cabenuva. I've been talking about that for at least 3 years. Where have you been? But that's okay. People don't always know. Here we go. Insertive anal sex is considered high risk? Question mark. Well, if you're the bottom, it is. Not if you're the top. You taking Dovato? Do you notice any side effects? They put slidey facts. Slidey facts. This must have been text to talk or whatever. Text to no, what is it? Speak. God, what is talk to text? There we go. No, I don't have any side effects. And yeah, I'm still taking my pill every other day to every third day. And no, I don't feel anything from it. Hi Jen, do your liver and kidney functions do your liver and kidneys function well after many years of medication? Yeah, everything's been fine. Love from India. Kindly reply. I will. You'll always be my dream girl, says Audio Devil. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Hello, ma'am. I'm feeling all symptoms. I given blood sample after 1 week laboratory personal ask sample once again. Is it possible to get positive? I mean, I don't know who you had sex with, so that's impossible for me to answer. Negative with the RNA at 1 week, you should probably still test again. But I don't even know who you had sex with or what happened. So for all I know, you could have just kissed somebody and you're freaking out. So who knows? Hi Jen, do you know how much Cabenuva? It's an HIV injection. Yeah, I know. Hello, that one can get. Hi, do you know much about Cabenuva? That's what they said. This is from Jimmy Alley. I love that they tell me it's an HIV injection that one can get every second month, 6 times a year. Smiley face. I'm like, yes, I know. Yes, you're talking to the HIV girl. I love that people think they're giving me new information. I don't mean to be rude, but yeah, hello. Um, this one girl wrote to me and said, personally, my body couldn't handle it, this break from the medication here and there. She says, I took myself off it for 6 months at the 6 month mark. The nurse practitioner at the clinic I go to said they ended up pulling people off of Cabenuva. Oh, that's the Cabenuva thing. Yeah, that I get. Yeah. That people get, I'll finish reading this. That's why I don't know that I want to do it, because people, they're not always, their bodies aren't always accepting it well. I don't know that they're not staying undetectable, but it's not like the side effects aren't very good, because it's a large dose you're getting intramuscularly that's going to be staying there for a while. It's a bigger dose of medication versus just a little dose every single day orally. But anyway, she says they ended up pulling me off Cabenuva because their patients saw viral loads coming back. Oh, I'm unsure if it was just a few people or everyone on it. I have yet to hear that yet. I haven't had anybody tell me that. It was, except for this right now, it was just pulled from use. Huh. It's still on the market, so my guess it depends on the individual's chemistry. Yeah, I'll have to look into that more. I have not heard that from anybody that it's making viral loads come back. No, 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 no. I just hit the wrong button. Starting to play a YouTube video. Okay. You are so cool. This is from Stephanie. Or Steph. You know your name. Aniel. Oh, Stephanie Lake. Sorry. There we go. Stephanie Lake, 8169. She says, you are so cool. If I am ever in Cali, I'd hope to meet you. I'll give her a heart. Unlikely just because I'm really private, but that's really sweet. I mean, if I was walking by a Target and you saw me, I'd definitely say hi. I just don't make plans to meet people I don't know, but you know what I mean. But that's like a nice sentiment, so thank you. Oh, this guy, Bolero, I thought this was funny. He wrote the toilet because I did pictures of my toilet with that light that I got off of TikTok, and I put them on the YouTube video. And he says the red one brings all the toilet stains to life. Lovely, which is actually really funny. There are some stains in the back of my toilet. The toilet is from 2004, and there's just stains that I just can't get, that are just like embedded in the porcelain that no matter what you do, you can't get rid of them. I just guess I need a brand new toilet. Someone says, I like your discussions. This is the 13125156. I like your discussions very much. I truly don't understand all of the race issues. I know many white people with curly hair. Please take care of yourself because you are a very good well of knowledge about the virus. You get what they mean. Jennifer, have you done a podcast on AIDS denialism? And Christine Maggiore? No, I haven't. I apologize if you have, but just wondered your thoughts on the woman. I don't know who she is. And I know there's people that don't believe that HIV or AIDS is real, but I just ignore that. 6 months of hard work and focus can put you 5 years ahead in life. Okay, I don't know what that had to do with anything. Kwame, I can't read the rest of this. The last part of the name is Brainy. You are doing so well. Keep the updates coming. Thank you. I can't find the one. Let me see. There was one that I really did want to read about a girl who did her treatment got stopped because of I think it was insurance or something. Oh, somebody did write about, there was an article that's been sent to me about a woman in India who apparently gave HIV to 19 men. I just wrote back to somebody, said it's impossible, and then they wrote back and they said, oh, I looked into more of the article and it turned out it was injection drug use. I'm like, well, yeah, that whole story just sounds like sensationalism. I just don't believe it. I think like they just write these stories sometimes just to scare the shit out of people. I really do. I don't like 19 men really. Um okay. Is this the one? Highly great podcast. I'm taking a tripla since 2006 and my body has zero issues with toxicity. I see my doctor once a year for my usual tests, so I will be letting the hair sit, as it were. I'm looking forward to your lab results in 2 months. Thank you. That was from Desmond Gallagher. That's amazing that you take a tripla and no side effects. I took that for like 2 days when I first was diagnosed, but I was really, really sick at the time. But man, that made me feel like, woo, like I was on, like, you know, pot, like I was high on pot, but also made me feel like kind of sick, and it felt like a bad trip. It felt terrible. So I don't know, like I don't know how people take a triplet. I'm so glad like that whole thing changed and they put me on something better. And that did not last long. That was just a few days. Um, I don't know where that one was. Anyway, I can't find it, but there was a woman who basically said that it was like an insurance glitch or something, and she wasn't able to get her medication for like 4 days or something, and she said, I don't know if this is possible, but like I ended up with like fever and night sweats, and That's absolutely impossible. You cannot end up your viral load would never shoot up to a point where you would be sick in 4 days. Like that's never, ever, ever going to happen. Like we still have medication in our body. I know people were talking about half-lives. I've had like some messages about half-lives, and the medication is truly out of your body after so many hours. I understand that, but there's just no way that the virus would just shoot up to a point where you would be physically ill with HIV or AIDS symptoms within 4 days of not taking it. Like that's just no, that was in her head, or she had something else going on. That was definitely not HIV. So yeah, I think that's about it. I'm gonna wrap it up and wish you all a great week. I have the day off tomorrow. I'm going to get to my Botox. It's well overdue. I haven't done it since June, so I have not been able to get to the doctor. So I can't wait to get my injections. It feels so good. It's all gone at this point, so I'm looking forward to having that done tomorrow. All right, you guys, have a great week, and just relax. Everything's gonna be okay. It is, and I love you guys. All right, have a good one. Bye bye. Bye for now. Bye, YouTube.
Oh no! Trump just won! What are we gonna do? Boys can't play in girls' sports? No! Lower taxes? No! Affordable housing? No! Cheaper gas? No! Safer border? No! No! Booming stock market? No!
This is the greatest comeback of all time. This man was persecuted from every media outlet, every celebrity, all saying that he's this racist homophobe, and yet you had record numbers of Black, gay, Latino, Asian voters turning out to support him. They tried to assassinate this man. They tried to put him in jail. They tried to remove him from the ballot. They tried everything they could to keep this man out of office. And still America saw through this machine of lies working against him and voted for him to be our next president. The key difference between this movement and the other side was that this campaign was run based on love for this country, whereas the Democrats ran a campaign based on hatred for Donald Trump. As a former Democrat turned Republican, I sincerely hope that all of you who are so devastated over these election results come to the same awakening that I had. That the Republican Party is not this party of hatred and chaos. It's a party of love and unity, and we are all united in our love for this country and our desire to make the American dream real again.
But she had Beyonce, and she had Taylor Swift, and she had all these stars. Who did he have? The people. He had the people. And the people won. God bless America.